What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. I'm just going to give a quick update as to progress on everything and where everything's set. So the first thing I'm going to say for booking right now, so we are moving it to assistance and it's going to be multi-calendar booking. However, that is not live yet. So your booking will still be in training data for right now. I have this little alert that just says, hey, it's moving, but manage it here in the meantime. So you just come here, you select your calendar, and this one will be the one used until that is officially pushed. Because once that push, that data type is actually going to change, and we're going to have to migrate over there. So my suggestion, one, is just to come here and, if you're managing calendars, do it here, but go ahead and perhaps play around and get familiar with the multi-calendar here. So how you do this while we're just here, try to make it really, really quick. Go here to add calendars to assistants, sync calendars from CRM, and then add the ones you want the assistant to have access to. Now, if you do not need multiple calendars, just do the one. You will get this add a use case to get started. Click on this, add your use case here. You're just going to tell the assistant why. If you have one calendar, again, this isn't super, super important, but just give it in the same way we give goals of why we would do something in a goal. Just give it a reason here of why I would use that calendar. This is more so for the use cases of multi-booking, but just make sure you give it a clear, concise reason of why I would use this calendar specifically. For the example of certain product, certain service, just make sure you clearly define what is going to make this calendar the one it should choose in any given situation. So everything else should be stable as far as generation and things like that. But you see things kind of moving around, actively doing it throughout the week. And again, this update's taking a little longer than usual. Usually I have it snappy 24, 48 hours. This thing's done. But I'm spending a little extra time in the areas that I think need attention. And that as this goes through, I'm trying to maintain uptime as much as possible. So just going through everything here, everything again should be stable. Use knowledge bases, change your stuff to vector stores. So how that's going to work is rather than traditional file sources, we're going to use vector stores directly through OpenAI. So it's just going to embed your documents into the model pretty much itself. That's kind of how that works rather than retrieval. If you have not already, update your training data to vector stores. For the files that haven't been switched over, you will have to update the files too. We do everything on the back end. It's quite a tech-intensive process, so all I need you to do is click the little buttons here. I prompt you on everything you need to do, but get your stuff updated to a vector store. You'll see, especially as the update becomes pushed completely to prod, you'll see your generations become a lot better in the fact that they're going to generate the correct information as far as FAQs, things from your training data, et cetera, et cetera. So vector stores is genuinely much better than a traditional retrieval. So calendars, if you're having issues with booking, put it in your training data. Make sure you mark the calendar there. Go ahead and play with the multi-booking. What is this? These are folders. You can add folders here now to categorize your assistants, keep them where you want them to. I do mine by business function. I got asked something yesterday about voice here. Why is voice here? So voice will kind of be separate for the fact that you as an agency can either revoke or add access to voice. Just how you would be able to do anything else, you'll be able to go there and say, I do not want this person to have voice, or I do want this person to have voice as you manage your sub accounts in the admin portal. So it's going to be a separate data type so that we can separate those things. So if you want to hide this access or if you want to add this as an upsell, that'll be the way to do it. Connect. So instead of deployment, you're going to have connect. Connect will be assistant tags. That's your traditional assistant tag model here. And then you have phone numbers for the assistant, the voice assistant production models when they come out. Working on that right now. Just tidying one or two things up on the actual Twilio integration itself. And then we should be good to go. The voice model is also going to be very, very robust. I'm going to also, in tandem with this, for those who are not using the voice or who would like to use the voice, especially while it's in kind of the current stages that it's in before production releases, I'll release a video right after this one, and then I'll release one right after the update finishes up. But that should be the main things to know. Just know that training data will be now vector stores. You'll have to update to vector stores if it's an older training data. And the files inside you will have to update into vector store files. Calendars will still be managed at the knowledge base training data level for right now, but they are going to move into assistance to make it a more scalable solution, and then also add the ability for multi-calendar booking. So these are where they will be managed right now. So if you're having issues with booking, manage it in the training data, but also, again, become familiar with the idea of calendars inside of the assistants. Everything else you kind of see here is actively being built out. For example, multi-send responses here, that's ready to go. Response formatting, you need at least 100 responses from your AI, and then you need to complete 25 reformats to have access to this. So it's kind of a multi-stage kind of thing because we need some data to reformat your stuff. That'll be pushed. Once you see that, it'll be a tab here once you have sent over 100 AI messages in that sub account. All right, and then the same thing you always do, knowledge base goes right here, add information, and you should be good to go. Advanced settings, just while we're here. So as you're adding the tools to your assistant, just as normal, right? You're going to see advanced settings. Now, these are not required. You never have to touch these if you do not want to. But for those of you who want to add a little bit more depth into your chat assistants, if you click on the advanced settings here, you'll see the tool that we're going to use and speak while completing a task. So what this is going to allow you to do, for example, let me just go into a fresh chat assistant here. So let's go into a fresh chat assistant and let's get calendar management. So calendar management is going to work always. It's going to work now how it always has, and continue to be, always will. But if we go to advanced settings, right? So the latency of like booking appointments and things like that, the reason that happens is because we want to be reactive on the outcome of that action rather than running them async. As you see traditional chatbots run, they'll just talk and then appointment books. They don't really know if it got booked or not. This infrastructure relies on the self-awareness of if that appointment got booked or if it did not, so that it can convey that to the contact. So with that comes a little bit of wait time, right? A little bit of latency. So what you can do is you can add messages for each one of the tasks that this thing is going to assume during your deployment. For example, getting appointment times. If I want to break up that latency, if I want to add some intermittent messaging in there, all I have to say is 1 second while I grab some times for you. All right. You can add as many as you want here. In fact, I encourage it, especially if someone's going to book multiple times. But add some variation here. What this is going to do is while it's checking the appointment times, while there's that little bit of latency, that extra 10, 15 seconds or whatever it tends to average out on, due to server time or how many tasks it's running, it'll send these messages just to kind of break up the conversation. Hey, I'm still here. This is great for chat widget. So while it's booking appointment, while it's doing other things, it will send these messages in the interim to make sure that that person knows that, we didn't go anywhere. And you can do that for all of them. And you can do as many as you like. So I'm trying to think what else besides like something like the calendars here, accessible calendars. You just add your calendar to the assistant. You give it a reason. This is for all sales calls. I would elaborate a lot more than this, but just for the example, right? And then perfect. Even if I'm just doing one or if I'm doing multi, this is how you do it. This is not live right now. It's going to be in the knowledge base. Now here, I would get acclimated and play around in here. But for right now, it's going to be in knowledge base. Fetch data on start, and then what to do after will be right here. I will have more videos on that when the update becomes a little bit more ready to push full production. But you'll have a lot of cool options here that'll carry over into goal steps as well. And then the last thing is just these multi-send responses. These are just beta reformatting models. So for example, you click this, and what it's going to do is it's going to break up your messages if they're longer than 250 characters into multiple smaller messages to give a double, triple text, type approach to talking to leads. And the same thing for reformatting. You will supply a list of all of your AI generated responses. You will go back through and you will give us what you would have said instead. And then we'll be able to train the response from the assistant and reformat it for you before it's sent out to the lead itself. And so you'll have a couple cool things you can do here. Maybe I have an example of one, perhaps here. This is one that was going through earlier. Let's see. Yeah, for example, I don't want to get too into like these messages, but it's just breaking up the messages into multiple here, just to kind of give the effect of, a more human-like feel as it goes through and speaks with people. So that's a couple updates here. You'll get more from me when it comes out. When everything comes out, you'll get a massive video plus, videos on all the new stuff and how to use it and everything like that. And then we will also do a group call just for support and everything, just like the Wednesday calls. We will all get on a group call. I will make that a almost town hall. So if you have questions, if you have implementation concerns, we can cover all of that then. But that's what you should know today. So the common things I'm saying is my calendar is not working. Yes, continue to use the knowledge-based one. Update the knowledge one if need be, or the knowledge-based one if need be. Delete your calendar, resync them. You should be fine because all the times and the booking is done in high level. We just need the calendar ID, and the rest is done. So knowledge-based right here. Assistance, there's some cool reformatting options, things right here, and then try to get familiar with the idea of these multi-calendar. Here in the in the dynamic data. The other stuff will be here to come. Multi-sim responses is here if you'd like to. That is going to be a quote-unquote beta product. Reliability has been there, but just making sure for the way that we're doing it, we're having the assistant generate JSON data, and then we're converting JSON data. Techie stuff, but just know it's a beta product. I haven't ran into any issues personally, but I don't have enough data to tell you that it's 100% accurate. I can tell you it's 99 though. But everything else is pretty much the same. Nothing has quote unquote hard changed here. Voice. So I'm sure a lot of people are concerned and excited, and whatever you feel about voice, that is at the top of mind. I have not forgot about it. All right. I'm making sure the infrastructure of chat and the infrastructure of your deployments is very, very strong. And then voice goes along with that. The ability to buy inbound, outbound numbers will be here. It's right here waiting for you. I just have to push it. And again, I'm working with Twilio integration right now, and then working out Twilio type deals to make sure that I can make prices really, really easy and cheap for everybody, lock in prices. So little stuff like that, that's kind of not getting in the way, but holding up as far as like the numbers, because I want to make sure that everyone is getting, everything they need for an adequate price and, within adequate time frame. So voice is the same. Here's what I'll tell you though. So if you have deployed voice and you are like, how do I make this thing work really good? Just like with any prompting, don't go crazy in your prompting. Like this right here is like the max you should have in your voice as you're testing the beta product. The production model will be more of a node-based thing where, we almost have if-else's like a workflow, which will make it very, very dynamic in conversations on the phone, especially when we need to be fast and dynamic. But for right now, as you're deploying this voice, as you're having fun with it, as you're testing it, you may even be deploying it out into the wild. That's not uncommon right now. There's a lot of people who have this in prod and who use this now actively for sales. Use a very short prompt. You will find that your generations are much, much, much better. And I'll even come to the fact here to say, if you run your stuff through and it's not calling, you have JSON data here. So I always have these must reads up top, right? I always try to cover JSON data in everything I have, but again, voice, I'm not going to say has not been my main concern. It's definitely at the top of my mind, but I am trying to get the other infrastructure really, really solid. So if you see a problem with sending the message here, it's going to be from one of these characters here. Now, I will do my best after these actual looms that I'm going to send out to mitigate JSON data even more for you. But just in case I do not catch it either now or up until that point, if you have these characters in there, no bueno. Just replace these characters with, for example, instead of quotations, just put the single one here, and you should be good. But yeah, this is a great prompt right here. This one is an incredible prompt. If you're familiar with Bland AI's viral campaign, this is literally their prompt. This is the prompt that they used in that viral billboard campaign. So this one works really, really amazing. And again, as you build these voice assistants, the shorter the better. The more high level, the better. Let the thing be dynamic, not deterministic. I think that pretty much covers everything right now. Everything else, especially when we kind of get into stuff like this, I will put out full length, full scale, in-depth videos when everything has come out. Up until this point, everything should be active. Everything should be good. Your chat should be good. If it is having problems booking, knowledge base, not the ones in the assistant. Get familiar with it, but that's not where it's booking from right now. It's booking from your knowledge base. Convert your files in your training data, or now knowledge base, to vector store and vector store files. That is how the assistant will be able to read it. It'll read it much, much, much better. Deployment, same as usual. And then voice. Make sure your prompt is short and sweet, very, very high level. There's a workflow action, and make a video for those who are out of the loop on that and who need that resource until that comes out. I will put all that in there for you. So this was not a short video. I kind of wanted it to be a short video, but I did want to cover all that stuff to let you know, like, I'm working on it. I get it at the top of my mind. I'm making sure that this is extremely, incredibly reliable, extremely, incredibly good. Someone asked about downtime the other day or concerns about reliability. Nothing from an infrastructure like standpoint has changed. All these outside things, they sit on the outside, right? So like this thing is going to book the same as it did a week or two ago. Totally fine, right? Just make sure that the knowledge base is hooked up there. If you run into any problems, submit a bug report. I'm going to go through those as I'm kind of winding down from the intensity of the update and getting ready to push to make sure everyone gets all their questions answered, all their concerns handled, everything like that. So I guess the last thing that's not super super important, but maybe would be helpful. I went off of 4 Turbo back into 4 Turbo Preview. The reason I did that is 4 Turbo's verbiage, 4 Turbo's instruction set is just not to the standard of what I'm used to, what you're used to as far as your deployments. So we have switched back to this, and I've already seen just from the messages that come through my account and that filter through my account that the responses are 10 times better, and following instructions is 10 times better than 4 Turbo Prod, funny enough. But this isn't a very instruction-heavy model here for those who are more technical. So this one's going to follow instructions better, while 4 Turbo may be much better for complex tasks and kind of one-off things. So rant video over. Hope that answers all your questions. If it does not, drop it in school. Send me a text. Shoot a bug report. I'm going to try to get to everyone as fast as I can today. Again, kind of winding down from the intensity of the update itself and the things that I've had to do preliminary to this update to make sure everything is good to go, for pushing prod. But this should catch you up to date. 17-minute video. You can skip through it. Put me on 3x, 2x, whatever. But this should kind of get you up to date where everything's at. And then where everything's kind of going to go. And again, I'll release a massive video with everything that's going to be out when the update comes out. And I'm hoping they keep giving time frames, but it keeps pushing back for some things. But I really am hoping within the next 24, 48 hours, this will kind of be all out of all done out of our hair and in prod and ready to go, so we can focus on some other things. I have more updates, but that will come later. Happy Friday. Talk soon. See you soon.